Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode number 75. That's some kind of milestone of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy on the other screen or in your other ear if you are listening on the pods. It's Cam Blake, not in Hobart, Tasmania, but in Tasmania somewhere. Where do we find you, Cameron?
You will find me right here, there, Cradle Mountain.
Cradle Mountain.
I am tuning in via the miracle of technology, maybe. See how long we go. I'm here in Cradle, halfway through a workshop. I'm absolutely spent. It's been sunrise after sunset after sunrise after sunset.
Yep.
And for some stupid reason, Cradle Mountain keeps turning on mornings like this one.
Yes.
Where we've got to get up to do it. So there's no sleeping in.
Right. Well, without any hesitation, show everyone your background. Let's do it now.
Oh, right. I don't know. I don't know if I can.
Can you do that with this one? There you go.
There you go. Just put my thumb up. That works even better. My background quickly is this morning, as of the 5th of April, early morning sunrise at Cradle. It was a stunner. We had some beautiful color and light hitting the mountains, and yeah, really cool. We've had two of those, and we've had two sunsets as well. And tomorrow morning, we're looking like we might get a bit of cloud and rain, so we might get a sleep in, but it is pretty impressive when it looks like that. So beautiful spot.
Something's telling me that you're kind of hoping that it might be a bit cloudy and rainy, so you can get a little bit of a sleep in.
Man, I don't know what. I've almost knocked myself out on this trip. I hit my head on the trailer. I told you that the other day before. It's been one of those trips where just nonstop from the get-go. So
yeah,
but it's good. We had a little bit of a rest this afternoon. It was like 20 degrees and sunny up here, which is not great for landscape photography in the middle of the day.
No, I guess not. But I just going backwards to your background there. I think without winging in your pocket in any way, shape, or form, that's one of the best backgrounds you've put up.
Well, thank you. That is
absolutely stunning. Beautiful balance, good color. It's just subtle yet striking. I like the framing with the little tree top left, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
The tree was a bit of a last addition. It was there, and I thought, it might be cool to get it in there. And then the breeze kicked in. So as soon as the sun came up, the breeze started kicking in. It was actually, but I got it when a shot when the breeze was a bit still. So look, Cradle and I have a funny relationship. Like sometimes it works really well, other times it doesn't work at all. But we've had some pretty good. We had a cracking sunset last night, a really good one today. They're doing lots of burning off around northern Tasmania, like the seasonal burn off. So it puts all those sort of particles in the air, and the sun and the light looks really cool. So
similar going on in this area as well. We've got a lot of burning off going on, so we get the added bonus of a filter over the sun.
Yeah, and yours, I've been there. I reckon I've been there where yours is.
Sure, let's do mine now as well. We might as well. This will keep Mel very happy. So this is my beach. This is Ocean Grove Beach. So I took this shot a few years ago on a night where the sunset was just going to be really boring. So, you know, those nights when you're at a really nice location and you know the sunset's not really going to cooperate. So you sort of just start hunting around for compositions.
Yeah.
And sometimes you come home with absolutely nothing. Other times you sort of, I don't know, sometimes you sort of stretch yourself into and you sort of convince yourself that it's a good composition, but it's not really. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's an example of one of those.
I like the sand. I like the sand ripples.
That's about all I could get out of that shot. And yeah, I mean, it's a wire fence and yeah, I don't know.
If
there's something about it, and I think it is the sand ripples.
If you just crop out that bottom left third or quarter of that frame, that's a cracking shot.
Yeah. And
then say it's in Egypt somewhere, and you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thanks to everyone who has liked, shared, followed, all that sort of fun stuff. I think we can almost safely say that we're closing in on 500 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
I'm just double checking. I'm just double checking right now. Is that a live number that you gave us?
No,
it wasn't.
It's higher than that now.
It's 467 now.
Holy smokes! Oh, we are moving along nicely, and thousands and thousands of downloads on the pods.
We had a great week this week. Did you see that?
We did.
I don't think I make it up. Like I look at the charts and I'm like, the visual arts chart in Apple, you look at it and it says, oh, okay, these are the episodes that have rated really high. Mm-hmm. And we were the number one rated Australian photography podcast episode last week. The only photography show that outrated us on the Australian charts was Fro Knows Photos.
Which is pretty cool.
It's ridiculous. We should get that dude on.
Jared Poland.
Jared Poland. His fro wouldn't fit in. We wouldn't have a background. It'd just be his
that's
hair.
right. It'd be pretty fascinating to have someone like that on, really just to chew their ear about how they got to where they are. I love finding out the backgrounds behind how some of these guys have got to where they are. For those of you who don't know Fro Knows Photo, Jared Poland, we'll put a link in the description. You can go and check out. Basically, does a lot of camera reviews on his site, talks photography all the time. Has like a photo news part of his podcast, and always, I want to say, a wee bit controversial with his opinions.
He'd fit right in on this show then.
Well, yeah, we do tend to push a few buttons. Should we briefly talk about last week's episode in terms of the feedback that we received? Or
yeah, why not?
I think the comments that we got. So for those of you who didn't catch up with the episode, how dare you? But if you didn't, it was really talking about giving away your photos for free. So when people come and knocking and asking for free photography and to pump up their cause or their website and stuff like that, and I think Cam and I were sort of, as per usual, in heated agreement that sometimes like charities and things like that, but when it comes to people who are gaining financially from your photography, maybe not such a good idea to just hand away your photos.
Yeah, we had a good chat about that, and it struck a chord with a lot of people, and I got some messages about that. I actually got some private messages about that as well. So it was good. Seems like people are understanding the angle that we're coming from. They don't necessarily have to agree with it. That's fine. But it was an interesting discussion. But controversial, probably not. Common sense, maybe. More. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was just topical for a particular thing that was going on in Tasmania at the time. So
this is the thing. It wasn't really going on until I started talking about it. I just I had a few people mention something to me, and just that I did the stupid thing, and I went, oh, there's a rabbit hole. Let's go down there. And
no, it weren't a rabbit hole. It was a can of worms.
It was a can of worms.
That's what it was.
I actually, speaking of a type of publication that's semi-related to what we were talking about last week. I actually saw it today in the bookshop up here. It's a lovely book. And it was funny, one of my guests actually picked up the book and said, hey, are we going to see any of this while we're up at Cradle Mountain? I'm like, oh, we might be able to. It might be good. And they're like, oh, these are some stunning photos in this book. I mean, yeah, very, very well donated photos. And their response was similar to mine. What? How did that happen? But that was episode 74. We're on episode 75.
Sorry, yes, we should. We don't need
to go back.
We need to move forward. So our main topic for discussion tonight is now this sort of relates to what you're going through at the moment, Cam, with your photography workshops and what we've got coming up with our King's Birthday long weekend workshops here on the Bellarine. Sold out, I'm afraid, folks, but there will be more. And that is, what is photographic knowledge worth? Now, I think the reason why we want to talk a little bit about this is, I'm assuming, Cam, the reason you want to bring it up was because it's does harken back to your workshops. And
did I bring this up? Did I?
Well, we kind of discussed it a little bit. I know there's a lot going on, but we wanted to talk a little bit about.
Yes.
Okay. So we received some feedback 2-3 weeks ago now from a listener with regards to the pricing of our, in particular, our Murray Mallee workshop. And the feedback, to be honest, wasn't great. It was constructive criticism, we should say. Yeah. And look, basically the crux of it all was that the workshop was overpriced. But we then we felt like we had to sort of justify ourselves, or not so much justify ourselves, but explain to people, what you actually get when you come to one of these workshops. And of course, straight away, I started looking around at other photographers or other companies that are offering this sort of stuff. Yeah. And for what we are dishing up for our workshops, we are positively bargain basement prices compared to some of the stuff I saw out there. So I think more importantly, though, we wanted to just discuss, talk to you about talk to our listeners about what what it's worth to them to come on to one of these workshops, or anyone's workshop, not just ours, but because we do push our workshops a lot. But we wanted to explain to people, what the value is, because there's a perceived value and there's an actual value. And Cam, you've run a lot more workshops than I have. It's safe to say. And I think what is undervalued mostly straight out of the gate is the photographic knowledge. So, we've got experience, you and I mean, I've been doing this for goddamn 30 years now, longer actually, which is just amazing. And you can't buy that kind of experience.
No.
So what we try and do is we try and pass on, or a condensed version of that experience in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And then the question is, comes up, well, what is that actually worth to people? So what's your take on that, Cam?
It's actually funny that I actually sort of forgot that we were going to talk about this topic, because I think we had it last week. And we rolled over this week. Yeah. So it's funny you raise this, because I had a message from another pretty well-known photographer in Australia today about someone actually messaging him, probably not to the level we received our feedback from the person that sent us, but probably on a different scale altogether.
Right.
Questioning the cost of a workshop and why the hell would they charge so much and stuff like that. But you're right. Like it's a really tricky one I think it's a really hard one to explain to people where the value is. And we can go back to the old saying that a picture tells 1,000 words. And I really like, in a workshop that you run, a picture can almost tell you exactly why you paid that much to do it. So, I think it's interesting that people seem to want to question the price of workshops for photography. But they seem to not really worry about pricing issues with other type of things that they pay for. Like it's all, and I think that comes back to the fact that there's so many photographers out there, and like, why would I pay you a couple of $1,000s to spend a few days with you when I can just get on YouTube or read a book and do it myself? And like you said, like, we've got a lot of experience between us, and I've run lots of workshops. You've been in the industry for ages, and like the knowledge that we have between the two of us is not something that you can just pick up by watching a 1 hour YouTube or even a week's worth of YouTube.
Yeah.
Because every scenario that gets dealt up on a workshop provides a different sort of set of tools to how to capture the shot properly, and how to get the light properly, and how to set your camera up properly. Even simple things like, even on workshops, like, my filter's stuck. I put two filters together and they're stuck together. How do I get them off? It's like, okay, well, without knowledge and just know-how of the industry and how it works, we can fix that for you. Or you can take it to a camera shop and they'll charge you $200 to fix it. Yeah. So it is a hard one to say, what's it worth, and why do we get this point where people are questioning us? But I think what people probably need to look at is more so especially with workshops anyway, like the bigger picture of what's being offered. Yeah. Like, don't just look at it as if, this photographer is going to teach me how to take nice photos, because that's only a fraction of what the workshops are generally about. There's accommodation, there's travel, there's time, there's research, there's logistics for getting things set up, there's insurances, there's permits for national park. There's a plethora of things that we do as workshop runners to get a workshop up and running. So we can put you in spots like right behind me at the right time. Like, that's just not drive up and do it. That's a process that takes, sometimes weeks, if not months, to get organized. So yeah, I don't think I get peed off when people question it. And by all means, I didn't get disgruntled or anything by the person that contacted us about the one we're doing. I think that scenario might have been maybe more of a misunderstanding of what they were expecting versus what we were offering.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So the caveat I'll put on this is, we talked about running a workshop up in the Mallee, mainly because it's my old stomping ground. And the person who contacted us was from Mildura. And they actually, I think what they thought we would do is just literally go up there for maybe a day, and have, a group of photographers come together for a day, which is something worth considering and something that may happen down the track.
Yeah.
However, what we wanted to run was more of a photography tour rather than just a workshop. It's a photographic tour. So where we don't just go to one location, where you put all your eggs in one basket for a workshop. We actually can spread ourselves over, as you say, Cam, 4 days, and it will be, sunrise after sunset after sunrise, but also, the hours in between as well of, of photography during more challenging conditions as well, and teaching people how to, what to look for in photographs during, more harsh sort of lighting conditions. I digress slightly. So, at the end of the day, the value that we're offering is spread over a long period of time. It's 8 participants only on this particular photography tour.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a 4-to-1 ratio over 4 days. So, the amount of one-to-one learning that's going to happen is very, very high. And I always find when I run my entry-level workshop, which only happens in my store, we don't even go outside to take a photo. It all happens in store. That's the getting to know your camera, all that sort of stuff. People like that, but it is purely a springboard to let's get outside and take some photos. That's when the penny drops. It's when we get people out in the field. And I saw this in our summertime Bellarine Peninsula workshop. The amount of times you could almost hear the penny drop with some people. Like, right, and you could see it when they get the result with you, and then you can stand there and have instant feedback. So where there's the shot, all right, what worked, what didn't. Okay, this didn't work, right? Let's eliminate that. Now let's try again. Wow, look at that image getting better and better before their very eyes. That level of excitement, that level of, almost, it's fun, right? To see these people, actually go, oh, I see it, and they get the bug right before your very eyes. You can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. And I think where people maybe get their knickers in a knot, so to speak, is I think they look at the dollar signs and just see dollar signs. Like I said, and maybe it's partly our fault as photographers that we don't emphasize the value that they're going to get from that dollar sign. But it's interesting that people get upset about it, and I find that people get upset about it in a completely different way that they get upset about, the price of petrol or the price of a loaf of bread. So it's almost like, how dare you try and get me to pay you a couple of $1,000s to teach me something I love so much. But I want to get better at it. It's like we're not putting a gun to anyone's head to do these workshops.
No. It's a classic thing, isn't it? It's like we put it out there. If it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yeah,
that's fine. We don't care. You're not the person that we want on the tour.
No, but I think where people get upset about that is that I think, I'd hazard a guess to say that there's not one single person out there that loves photography is not very passionate as well. And I think people have a passion to get better at photography, and they can see I think they can actually see the benefit of doing a workshop, for example, with us or whoever it might be. They can see the benefits, but they just can't seem to justify the value behind it. And that could be budget requirement, like restrictions they might have. They might be unemployed, they might have big family, they might have lots of bills, whatever it might be. So they can't put that 2 and 2 together, that if I do this, I know it's going to be great for my photography, but I can't afford to do it. So instead of just accepting that and saying, okay, well, I'll save up and do a workshop one day, or I'll put money aside, they just go the other way and say, well, that's not fair. That's too expensive. Like, I'm not paying that for you. If I can't afford it, then that's not fair. And as I use with the other person I spoke with today, that's like going into a Ferrari dealership and saying, your cars are too expensive. I want one, but how dare you charge $500,000?
Yeah, that's right.
I want one for $20. Like, it doesn't work like that.
No.
So it's an interesting one. And I think also, even just on this workshop, and it happens every workshop I go on, and hopefully it doesn't work in the other way, but every time I'm on a workshop, I hear stories about other workshop hosts around Australia. And I'm sad to say that I hear probably more negative stories about other workshops than positive ones. And there's a couple of common names that pop up in those conversations, which clearly I'm not going to mention on here. And I think sometimes that might, rub people the wrong way, or it might just give them a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth that, oh, such and such went with Cam Blake for $5,000 and they had a really bad time. It was poorly organized and they didn't get what they wanted. And that tars us all with the same brush, that, workshops are overpriced. You don't get what you want. All I can say to people that are considering my workshops, at least, look at the reviews people get, look at the photos people get on the thing, and look at my return customers. Like, they're all good ticks, green ticks in the right columns. If you're hearing stories about someone doing a workshop, then there's probably more stories behind them as well, that they're not maybe a good operator, or they do things a bit dodgy, or whatever it might be. But I think it's a bit unfair to send people emails and say, you're too expensive, how dare you? Because I want to do this and I can't afford it. You know, how dare you sort of put me out of that price bracket? For example, what you were talking about before with, you know, we can go to Mildura, we can go to Swan Hill, we can go to Bright, we can go wherever you want in Victoria, but you know, we've got to drive 4 hours to get there. We've got to then spend probably a night or two there to have a full day with a group of people. We've got to then be up early, finish late, get food, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like our cost out of pocket is at least probably $1,000 between us for a 2-day thing.
And then it becomes a balancing act as well, because sure, we can reduce the price and increase the numbers of participants,
but then they don't get the same.
Decreases the experience. So
that's right.
you know, there's a magic formula there somewhere, and you know, we're not saying that we know what that is, but you know, you've got to strike that balance. And I think you know, this workshop we've got coming up in October, you know, 4 days, 8 people. It's absolutely perfect. That's, to me, that sounds about right for you know, as I say, for that one-on-one stuff. The other thing to remember about a workshop as well is it's not, how can I put this? It's not like we're going to be there, you know, throwing it down your neck. It's going to be actually a really well-paced sort of thing as well. You know, you're not going to be absolutely exhausted because you've still got to be good for the next day to go out and shoot the sunrise and all that sort of stuff. So
I wish you'd told my guests on this workshop.
So we're going to pace that as well, you know, and there's all that to work out too. There's so much behind the scenes that goes on to putting something like this together that people simply don't see. But let's turn this to the positives. I've read your reviews, you know, I've read a lot of your reviews, and they're always very, very positive. Whenever I run my entry-level workshops, intermediate or landscape workshops, I'm going to totally blow my own trumpet here. I always get really positive feedback. Whether that be right at the end of the workshop and to a person, thank you so much. I learnt so much more from doing rather than just watching. And that's the big difference, is you put yourself out there and it's doing, not just watching and then go, okay, in a month's time when I'm out shooting that sunset, do you think I'm going to remember that YouTube clip about ISO and white balance and all that sort of stuff? Of course you're not. You'll know it when it's being shown to you in the field at the time.
And something else that's really important I do with my workshops, and would be happy and incorporate in what we do as well, is that, okay, for instance, you pay the money to come on the Mallee Murray workshop. We do the 4 days. A month down the track, you're like, oh, what did Cam say about, you know, depth of field or something like that? Send me an email, send me a message, like, it doesn't stop after the workshop. Like, I have so many customers that still continue to message me or email me and say, hey, remember I was on your workshop in Tassie and you were talking about whatever it was. Can you just refresh me? And it's quickly, it's a quick email. Yeah, cool. Go look at this, or this is what I was referring to. Like, it's an ongoing exercise where people learn. But yeah, it's interesting. And again, like, staying in a positive, like this is no way having a go at the person that sent us that email. Like, I'm actually glad we got that email, because it gives us a bit of a focus on, okay, well, this is probably missed the mark a bit for that person, but you know, can we try and incorporate something that will work for that person and the like who in that region? And you know, maybe that can happen, maybe it can't, but we're always open to feedback and happy to take it on. But yeah, you know, going back to the question, what is photography knowledge worth? I think that's a bit of a combination as to what we believe we're worth and what the person who wants to improve their photography think it's worth. So there's a happy medium there somewhere. And you know, some people are happy to pay you know, in excess of tens of thousands of dollars to go on these extravagant photography tours, and that's fine. And there's other people that want to just do a day trip for $150 with someone, and that's fine. But to me, I reckon if you really want to get a bit of a kickstart in your photography, or scratch up on some things that don't make any sense, or things that you've been, and you're talking about the wow factors before and the aha moments. I've had them all down today, down by the lake here, having those aha moments. And it was simply about, how do I expose to make sure this sky looks like it does? Simple adjustments to your camera with exposure and the like. And they're like, oh, well, I've been doing it wrong all this time. That makes sense. You know, sometimes that moment on its own, to walk away with a shot like this at Cradle Mountain is almost worth the admission fee. So that's a tricky one.
It is tricky. But,
I don't know what the answer is.
But yeah, and then you're right. You know, we take on board constructive criticism, and hopefully we got an email from one person. That means there are other people out there who probably are like-minded, and
Yeah, totally.
yeah. So we just thought it was a good opportunity to clear a few things up. If you've got any questions about anything that we're talking about, by all means,
email Brendan at.
That's right. No, dsps.com.au.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, send us a message on the website. But yes. Yeah, I think in closing, like, it's a really hard one. I know when I do my workshop costings and try and work it all out, like I said, you take all the things into account: accommodation, transfers, food, parks, time, all that kind of stuff. And like, I think in regards to where I sit with my pricing on my workshops, I think, and it's similar to what we're doing with the down south workshops, we sit in a pretty comfortable, affordable bracket for the majority of people. There's going to be people that can't afford it, and there'll be people that want more. But I think based on what we offer and the time we put in, the effort we put in, the price is actually justified quite easily. Like, we could easily put another 20% on top of our price and do what some other people do. But I'm in the business of, I know you're the same, but I get an absolute kick out of people getting as much passion out of photography as I do. And if I can make a living off that and also get their passion levels up to where I am, then happy to do it, and happy to do it on a reasonable budget for people who, like I said, a majority of people can work out to save for it, or they've got the money to pay for it without breaking the bank. So yeah. Exactly. We've got to eat as well, and we've got to do our stuff, and
I could probably eat a little less, but
we could probably eat a little bit less. So
just speaking for myself, that wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're both the same. We're going to eat less on the Overland track coming up. That's for sure.
Wow, 9 days before I'm in Tasmania.
Yeah, and the weather forecast has gone tits up a bit.
Yeah, that's
shall we say?
Which sounds about right. But hey, I'm ready for it. I'm up for it. I'm up for it. We'll.
I'm gonna ask you that question on day one at Kitchen Hut when we're bunkering down together and the wind's blowing at 100 kilometers from Antarctica.
Hey, yeah, it'll be character building.
It will be. Anyway,
we shall see.
Yes.
That other little topic there. Should we talk about that one? Yeah,
I reckon we can squeeze that in. Yeah, I reckon we can squeeze that in. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I've been taking photos for a long time, as I keep saying. So have you, Cam. And I've often asked myself, like, what would be my ultimate landscape shot to take? Yeah. And it's a tough one, and I think it comes back to location. Like, it's like, what would be your ultimate landscape photo? Well, I start thinking, it's like, the Canadian Rockies, or Vancouver Island, or Tasmania, or and for me, it is always parochially an Australian sort of landscape. So I think that my ultimate landscape shot would have to be in Australia. It's probably going to be coastal, but it's hard. I mean, I've often wanted to get just an absolute jaw dropper of the 12 Apostles.
Yeah, with a big lightning storm behind it.
Similar to like Cradle Mountain for you. The 12 Apostles is a similar distance away from me as Cradle Mountain is from you where you live.
Yeah.
I've been there 100 times. I've shot the waterfall there, which I was wrapped with.
Yeah.
The trouble, not much trouble, I suppose. The accessibility with the 12 Apostles is really difficult. You've got really one angle that you can shoot from, and that's the viewing platform. You can't.
That's right.
The beach is out of bounds. You're not allowed to get down there. It's
Isn't there a walkway that goes down to the beach?
So if you literally do a 180 and face away from the 12 Apostles,
you can go down there. That's
called Gibson Steps, and you can get onto the beach there, but you cannot get around the headland.
I thought there were steps on the other side down there.
No, there's
like a goat track or something.
Parks and Wildlife. It's literally under lock and key get in. That's all fenced off. You can't get in there without a very, very special permit, or you're working for Parks and Wildlife.
Right. Okay.
You can't fly a drone there. it's penguin habitat down there as well. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a sacred site. So yeah, you've really got the viewing platform there. But having said that, like, just an absolute belter of a sunset, or a meteor shower, or just something, really different there would be my absolute ultimate, I reckon, because I've just got this connection with that area, with the whole Great Ocean Road, but the 12 Apostles in particular. Every time I come around the corner and see that view, there's something about it.
Yeah, there is some locations that do, and I do it every time I come up to Cradle. There's a couple little corners on the road that you're like, here it is, it's there, it's out to play. But the ultimate landscape shot, I don't think I've ever actually thought about that too much, about where
notice.
Yeah, where would I want to be to get that ultimate shot? But I think one shot that always played in the back of my head was a shot Ansel Adams did of Yosemite National Park, and it's called Tunnel View. I've been to Tunnel View. I've got the Tunnel View shot, but I was never happy with it. I'd love to go back there in winter and probably get that winter stormy sort of look that he got in his shot there. So it'd be probably something like that in America. Or recently I've had a lot of, maybe, I don't know, it's all the analytics of Google, but I've had a lot of Patagonia popping up in my social medias.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't mind going there to check that out. But yeah, I think the ultimate landscape shot to me probably would be just one that is out of the box. It probably doesn't matter where it is, but like you said, it's probably just that, meteor shower or massive aurora or amazing electrical storm or something like that in a location that's cool as well. So, but having said that, thinking out loud, one shot I do want to get is Uluru with waterfalls.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one shot. I saw one the other day. It happened the other day. I'm like, that'd be cool. So that's maybe that'd be up the top
You've
of my list somewhere.
Get so lucky to get that. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's got to be super duper rainy, and you've just got to be there or get there really quick.
My dad saw waterfalls on Uluru. My dad was a coach driver. He used to drive tours out to the Red Centre.
Yeah,
and he happened to be there one day, and he got a photo of a waterfall coming off the side of Uluru.
Right.
I don't think I got my photography skills from my dad, so it's not the best photo in the world, but
hey, he saw it. He saw it.
But he saw it and he got the shot. That's right.
I reckon that'd be one of my. Yeah, and it's funny. I've found myself now watching weather, and I
get on a plane.
I like to study. If I see something about photos and weather, like Cradle Mountain behind me, I can sort of tell you, like the first or second week of August, we'll always get a good snow dump.
Yeah.
So I've been watching when these rain events happen through the centre and Uluru gets wet. I'm like, oh, can I time it to get up there? Yeah. If I can survive Alice Springs without getting killed, then I'll probably get out to Uluru and do it. But
yeah, and it's funny because as you've been talking there, you start thinking, well, actually, I've heard and seen, obviously with the internet now, Norfolk Island.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely stunning. Looks like a photographer's paradise. So there's another place on the list, that I'd like to get to.
Lord Howe Island.
Yep.
Would be another one. And the other one that I'd really love to go to, which I don't think will ever happen, is Macquarie Island.
Yes.
That's
basically Antarctica, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in between. It's funny that we're saying mostly Australian locations. That just shows how cool this country is.
And how sort of our parochial bias is, but that's
how limited we are with funds to go anywhere.
Well, there is that. Well, then, okay, if we're talking global, then you've got
global's big.
Yeah, the Faroe Islands, Islands, which I think are between Scotland and Scandinavia. I think
that sounds
whatever
right.
The North Sea. That looks pretty stunning. But when it comes back to just what would be my ultimate landscape shot, is it going to be a sunrise? Is it going to be a sunset? Is it it'd be I don't know. And I know one thing for sure: I haven't taken it yet.
Well, that's one thing. I can tell you now, I'll give you one location that wouldn't be on my ultimate landscape photography shot. And this has come from a guest on one of our trip at the moment, who's actually traveling to us from Belgium. And I don't think I want to go to Belgium to do landscape photography based on what she's telling me of Belgium. So yeah, that's one place I probably wouldn't get my ultimate.
No, it
shot.
doesn't feature high on landscape photography. Belgium. I mean, I think it's pretty flat. There's not a lot going on in Belgium. As far as landscapes go, they do make a very good beer or two.
They do, and chocolate and stuff like that.
What they lack in landscape photography, they make up in other areas. So
yeah. That's a good one. I'd like to hear what people might have to say about.
I was just going to say,
ultimate one.
Comment below on what you.
If you had one, let's go old school. If you had a roll of film and you had one shot left, where would you want to take it?
That's right.
Exactly. And I don't want to hear wife and kids and dogs and cats and stuff. Like, give us a location somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, bugger the family and the loved ones. Be selfish and go somewhere and take that photo.
Yeah, exactly. We have a deer cam.
We do have a deer cam. Yes. This is from our workshop. This was asked this morning. No, this evening somewhere.
Right. So you've already answered it.
I have already answered, but I thought it'd be a great one for the show.
For our listening audience. Deer cam. When shooting, this is from Joe from Perth in WA.
She's come all the way to Tassie to ask me this question.
From Perth in Western Cactus. When shooting reflections in a lake or puddle, is there anything you can do to help capture what you want to see in your frame that is reflecting from the water? For example, circular polarizer or camera positioning. I'm going to have to read that question again to even understand it.
Well, maybe I wrote it badly.
When shooting reflections in a lake or a puddle, is there anything you can do to help capture what you want to see in your frame that is reflecting from the water? Oh, okay. So yeah. I know, I get it now. So you want to see what's actually in the reflection.
Yes.
You want to capture that a little better.
That's correct.
Over to you, Cam.
Well, I'm going to give it to you. I've already answered it. You answered that one.
Well,
oh shit! How do I do that? He says.
Well, I think straight up a circular polarizer is going to be, a very, very handy addition if you want to shoot reflections, because that's what circular polarizers do. People, they enhance reflections and they also cut through reflections. So
we spoke about that as well. We spoke about using circular polarizers to sometimes cut glare, but also and reflections, but also introduce them. Yes,
absolutely. And I think the other thing is can also purely be the position of your camera. So moving your camera lower, shooting in the vertical format as well to get, if you've got a reflection, sometimes it's good to have a reflection that leads to a subject, similar to could be Cradle Mountain, like we've got there, or so literally getting your camera lower to the water and closer to the water is going to help you there as well. Is that what you said to your?
Hey, dear, this is dear Brent. No, we definitely spoke about that kind of stuff, and we spoke about circular polarizer cutting either through reflections or enhancing them, which was a good one. And exactly that we were talking about. This is one thing I see on across the board with every workshop that happens, and we try and drill it into them as they go through. I was actually going to say punch it into them, but we'll drill it into it instead. About where your camera is positioned to do shots. So I can guarantee that most people will get to a location like the one behind me, set their tripod up to eye level, and off they go. And it's 5 foot. Everyone shoots at about 5 foot. But what we're talking about is, yes, exactly that. Lower the camera down or bring the camera down, up higher or lower. And also the angle of your camera from the side, if you're pointing straight out or pointing down or pointing up. And what we're talking about is something I learned in uni many years ago, is that the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. So the angle that the light comes in and off that reflective surface, if you have your camera on the same angle on the way that the reflection's coming out, then you'll see that same thing. So I guess the easiest way to explain that is, if you want to skim, if something is reflecting low in the background, you want to skim across that puddle or lake, or if you want to get the top of peaks in puddles or lakes, you need to shoot a bit more down so you get more height, or clouds or whatever it might be. So yeah, exactly that. Move your camera positioning around, lower, higher, angled more, angled less, depending on what you're trying to get the reflection of.
Perfect.
There you go. That was a dear us.
The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Physics 101. I remember that from physics in year 9, I reckon.
Yeah. So it's really like we did it tonight with Joe down at the lake. Is that the lake actually behind us? It has that tannin color, so it's like a slightly sort of tobacco-y color. And because of all the burning off around here in Tassie at the moment, all the clouds and the smoke and stuff are all making the same sort of color. So it was a nice marry up in the picture. But what she wanted to do was get the rocks as well as the reflection of Cradle Mountain. So just by adjusting the angle and the level of her camera, we're able to get the polarizer to cut through the water to get the rock color, as well as the reflection in the water at the right angle to get the peaks behind us here. So it was a pretty good little lesson. And yeah, I broke out the Physics 101, and I think I impressed maybe one person, but
I think from one of the biggest advancements in digital cameras was the flip tilt screen.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I am forever bending my back and getting down low,
that's because you're into Canon.
If probably it's more to do with the fact that whenever I do have to use my tripod, like the other night when I was shooting the Aurora, I don't want this height. I don't want to be, I want that angle. I want to be low. I want, because quite often, as people would know, here in Ocean Grove, we've got the stairs and they've got the rails that go down the side. I don't want them to be down here. I want them to be coming out of the top left and right corner of my shot. So quite often I've got the camera down low, and then you just flip out the screen and rotate it back. I can just stand there and look at it. I don't have to crouch down and get in these weird angles and positions anymore.
I'm gonna cause some controversy.
You don't do that.
Yeah,
you're so even keeled, and you're such a fence sitter. Yeah, that's right.
No. If you own a camera that doesn't have a tilt screen, piss it off now and go buy one that does.
From Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, I'll look
from anywhere, but preferably from Brendan. The amount of time I'm gonna give my mate Jamie a shout out. He's got a Canon EOS 5, whatever the hell they are.
Yeah,
and it's got no flip screen. It's like, dude, why? Who in any development product team of Canon and Nikon sat there and went, yep. We're talking about people are not happy about us charging a few $1,000s for a workshop.
That's right.
These people get paid tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year, and can't put a flip screen in your bloody camera. Piss them off. Go to a brand that does it, or get the latest version, because it is like, the dinosaurs have even advanced more than them, I think.
Flip screens are worth their weight in gold.
But I can't, like, so many people I see in workshops, they rock up and they're almost lying on the ground trying to look at their bloody screen. It's like, just flip it out, like, oh, it doesn't have a flip screen.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, there's my rant and controversy.
Better yet, use the app and control your camera with your phone screen.
Just sit in your car.
That's right. Don't even go out.
Yeah, that's it. Just do it that way. Sit in your car and take photos in the car park.
Yeah, I did it the other night. I because I was, when you're shooting any, like particularly Aurora, like are you
going to try and justify sitting in your car using a remote?
I wasn't sitting in the car, but it was quite, the breeze was quite biting, and this genius went out in his shorts and was taking photos of the Aurora. So I connected my phone, through the app to the camera, and then just sort of crouched down behind the railing of the thing and sat there and took photos that way. Which
you're going to do fine. Well. You're going to do fine on this walk.
Yeah, in my shorts.
In your shorts. So you're not wearing shorts, are you? No.
There will be shortage. That's for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, why people don't have flip screens? But you're right. Like using the apps and the things, like they are good. We've had a lot of macro photography here. We've had a lot of the little
on this workshop that you're on.
On this workshop, a lot of the little electric blue fungi. What are they called? Mycena interruptus or interrupter or something they're called.
Wow.
Yeah. Look that up. Probably a heap of BS, but what works really well in those situations is that you can use the remote shutter, so you can set your tripod up, because getting down on the ground on a forest floor, and we've had, quite funny, I said it in the message before, we've had leeches today. People that's why you pay the big bucks, folks. You come here and get leeches.
Come and get eaten by leaches.
So someone got off the forest floor today and they're like, what are these things crawling over my leg? I'm like, they're leeches. Hope it was worth it. So that's where an app can come in, like the phone. You can just set up the camera and stand well away.
That's right. Yeah. Let the leeches crawl over your camera, not your legs.
Yeah.
Thank you to our beer donations this week from Andrew T.
Donator
Andrew T. If you would like to buy us a beer, dsps.com.au. Of course, buying us a beer helps us pay for running of the show and websites and all that sort of stuff. So
or beer,
and it actually buys us a beer. So we're not adverse to someone buying us a beer. That would be lovely. So you were going to say something?
I was going to say, in this day and age, it's just a lovely gesture to buy us a beer, and
that's right.
We're not millionaires, even though we're trying to be. But
that's right.
Just not
with the price we charge for our workshops, we must be.
Moving on.
If you have a Dear Cam question, by all means, hit us up through dsps.com.au. Getting close to the end of the show.
No physics questions, though. If you can, don't.
No, thank you. No, definitely not.
I might have studied some physics, but don't ask me any physics questions.
No,
that's all I know.
What do you got coming up, Cam? You're wrapping up this lap of the map.
Well, we're only halfway through. This is the what's that? This is the song that never ends. This is the tour that never ends.
And you're already knackered.
I'm stuffed. So, and I even had a snooze this afternoon. We had a bit of time off. There you go. Talking about having a good trip, right? So I've almost knocked myself out on the trailer. That's fine. And we had 3 hours off today because it was just so sunny, and everyone said, "Oh, we'll just go chill out." I thought, you know what? I'll catch up on an hour of sleep. I'm in my little room here, and outside the room, there's a workman putting up new panels on the outside of the room, like just drilling and banging. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So anyway, so what have I got left? We're heading off to Strawn tomorrow. Strawn, which is
wonderful.
Yeah, it's a lovely little spot. So we head down there tomorrow, and then we head back to Hobart. We have a couple of days left in Hobart to finish off the trip. But we've got some weather coming. We've got some rain. We're expecting 2 inches of rain here tomorrow.
Wow.
So we're going to get off the mountain fairly quick and get down the West Coast a bit more. And but yeah, we'll get that done. And then I'm preparing for our massive adventure down over the back of these mountains here.
That's right.
You got to walk up here.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. That would be Marion's, would it be?
That is Marion's Lookout. Yes.
I already know all the names of the places and everything.
That's good. Saves me telling you. What have you got going
on? So Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. We are
today. No, it's Easter Friday when yes.
When this goes out, it's actually going out on Good Friday. So I'm going to have a couple of days off, which will be great, and heading up to Swan Hill. So I'll be up there for just only a very, very quick visit to do a bit of camping with the kids. Get a bit of Easter time together with them, because I will have the second week of the school holidays with you in Tasmania. So I am working to get everything done and ready, and then I can clear out for a little bit and have a bit of a break.
Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to this walk. It's coming up very soon, and I'm excited.
It's going to be great. And I think the idea of recording a 10-minute down south photo show each day, and putting it together as one podcast, the idea has grown on me.
I think it's going to be great. We'll just every night when we've set up our tent, or even if we do it when people are setting up their tents in the background, we can have a little mics on and say, "Hey, welcome down episode 1.1," and then we can just sort of say, "This is what we did today."
Right. It'll be episode 77.
77.1.
That's right.
So I think it'll be good fun. But I'm looking forward to it. And I'll tell you what, I haven't done any training for this walk but I keep fairly active in the hiking around business. Yeah, I've been walking. I've been walking everywhere on this trip, and I feel pretty good. Touch wood.
Good. Yep. No, I'm feeling relatively fit as well. So Jack and I are doing a big dress rehearsal probably on Good Friday. We'll load basically everything except the food, obviously, because we're not going to get that until we get down there.
Oh, you want food?
Yeah, sorry, is that all right? Well, actually, no. 6 days without food would probably do me wonders. But anyway,
probably wombats out there. Wombat stew.
We'll find one. A couple of currawongs.
Ooh, got stories. We're going to give you some warnings about them.
Yes, I'm looking forward to all the warnings.
No, it should be good. So we got one next episode next week.
I believe so. We can. I'm pretty sure we can squeeze. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We should do. That's it. That's the podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Cam, enjoy the rest of your tour. Have fun.
I'm going to bed.
Good idea. Me too. This has been episode 75 of the Downside Photo Show. We'll catch you for episode 76 next week. Bye for now.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. How do I stop this thing?
Yeah.